Muy buenas tardes chicos y chicas, bienvenidos al canal. Vamos a tener una entrevista, como ya sabéis, con Ion Asicostas, el director de World of Warcraft desde 2016. Bueno, pues sin más dilación paso a presentaros. Hi Ion, this is Epsilon from West Chakra. Such a pleasure talking to you again.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here with you, with
We are
everyone listening.
We are super excited to have you here and do this interview for the Spanish community. So thank you so much. I
Absolutely. I can't wait to talk about Shadowlands and everything World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I have a friend with me that will be helping with the questions and the translation. So if you are ready, we would like to start the interview.
Sure, ready to go whenever.
Pues Miguel.
All right. Yep. So I'm Miguel. I'm going to be helping here. So the first question is about Torghast. We've been testing Torghast quite a lot in the alpha, and it feels super fun. Leveling from 25 to 72 took us about 8 hours. It was like hard at the beginning, and then relatively easy after collecting enough anima power. So what are your plans for the tower in terms of number of floors, maybe checkpoints to start in a specific floor, difficulty or time?
Yes, so the long-term goal for Torghast definitely is not runs that take multiple hours where you're struggling to, find time to do it in a single session. This is, Torghast is still in early stages in a lot of ways. We wanted to get the system up on the alpha servers to start getting feedback right away about what's working and what's not, and the moment-to-moment combat, and the pacing, and which powers were exciting, and which types of enemies and challenges felt most fulfilling. And we haven't put as much effort into the meta progression throughout the tower as a whole. I think one of the fun aspects of these types of roguelike games is that as you get more powers, you do get stronger to an extent. And if your build comes together and you have some really strong synergies, it might feel like, maybe during the middle of the run, you're having an easier time than you were at the start. And that's actually part of the goal of putting together a build. But of course, if that continues forever in an open-ended way, and it's just getting easier and easier the farther you're going, well, that's an indication that our scaling is off. And that would turn Torghast into less of a test of skill and ingenuity and more of an endurance test, where really getting to the highest floor is just a question of how much time you can spend. So we'll have a lot of continued changes coming over the course of the alpha, looking to condense the length of runs so that you can feel like you had a victory, you accomplished something, you got your build together, you got to crush some things with it, but then your run isn't going on forever and ever.
Okay, so I'm going to translate a little. Dice que no es una experiencia que van a hacer para que necesites un montón de horas. Todavía están haciendo cambios en balance y un montón de cosas que necesitan feedback de la comunidad. Están en una fase todavía temprana y todavía no están mirando cómo va a ser el meta.
Vale, perfecto. Perfecto. Pues pasamos a la siguiente, seguimos con la torre.
So we wanted to know if there's going to be any achievement system linked to the tower, maybe getting to a certain floor or not using some anima powers. Do you have anything like that in mind?
Definitely. I would expect there'll be a full suite of achievements for Torghast. Generally, the way achievements work is they're one of the last things we do in development. We want to make sure we understand the feature, its full extent, how players are going to be playing it and interacting with it, and then we'll come up with a range of achievements that reflect everything from accomplishing big milestones like reaching a certain floor, to completion of gathering different powers, beating all the different bosses, to some fun personal challenges and accomplishments there, just like we've seen for other types of fun.
Okay. Dice que sí, que habrá un sistema de logros bastante completo, que todavía están viendo cómo la gente juega Torghast para ver qué logros pueden implementar, pero seguro que habrá algo como llegar a cierto nivel o jugar cierto número de horas o matar a ciertos jefes.
Genial, perfecto. Pues siguiendo con la torre, hablamos sobre el inicio.
So at BlizzCon, you mentioned something about having a 2-week event when the expansion releases around Torghast. Can you tell us a bit more about what to expect here?
So it's not necessarily an event right as the expansion releases, but as we design Torghast, we are building it with the possibility for events in mind, where a certain type of creature or a certain effect might take over a certain portion of the tower for a couple of weeks. I'm just changing up the experience in a way similar to how something like Mythic Plus affixes might, but that's more of a long-term, additional layer. The base experience that people are going to jump into when the expansion launches is just Torghast as it is, but part of the fun of this endless infinite tower is the way it might evolve and change over time to keep the experience fresh as people are looking for it.
Okay, sounds great. Dice que no es más un evento, no es tanto como un evento, sino la posibilidad de que Torghast tenga eventos durante la vida del juego.
Qué bien.
Que están preparando para que, por ejemplo, cierto tipo de criaturas pues aparezcan mucho más, o ha mencionado algo de afijos, como las mazmorras míticas.
Qué bien.
Quieren que la torre evolucione con el tiempo para que siempre sea una experiencia fresca y nueva.
Perfecto. Suena muy bien, la verdad. Pues seguimos un poquito con Torghast y algo sobre los legendarios.
So we know that one of the main rewards of Torghast is the new legendary items. Where will we craft them exactly? Is there like a minimum floor the players have to reach to be able to craft them?
So again, this isn't something that's available in alpha just yet, but we're hoping to have it up there in a few weeks. The fantasy behind how the legendaries are obtained is that actually, relatively early on in your journeys in Torghast, you will recover a key that lets you unlock a door that's near the entrance to Torghast. And in that cell, you will find this ancient rune crafter that's chained up in a room full of all kinds of arcane devices. And the story is that we will come to learn that this is actually the smith who scribed the runes on Frostmourne. This is the one who made the Helm of Domination that the Lich King wears, or wore. Yeah. And as we, in our journeys through the tower, recover scraps of this ancient runic language, as well as some powerful fuel for the furnace used to forge the legendaries, this runesmith will be able to inscribe our items to turn them into legendaries with the powers of our choosing. So it's something that should be unlocked pretty early on in Torghast. I would expect players to see it probably the very first week of the expansion, but then unlocking and learning these different recipes and obtaining the materials to craft them will be a journey that spans the entire expansion.
I see. Cool. Me dice que en Torghast habrá una puerta cerca de la entrada donde encontraremos una habitación donde puedes como engarzar runas antiguas o ancestrales. Es ahí donde se incluyeron las runas de Frost que tiene Frostmourne y dicen que al principio entrarás ahí y durante tu camino en Torghast irás recuperando recetas para inscribir más runas en tus legendarios.
Pues genial, suena muy bien. Vale, pues pasamos a la siguiente, que trata del tiempo, el tiempo en Shadowlands y cómo transcurre allí.
So it looks like time runs differently in the Shadowlands than in Azeroth. Maybe that's why Uther, Kael'thas, and other characters have been there for ages when it has been just a few years in Azeroth. How does time go by in Shadowlands, and what does that mean for our characters?
So I had to. So this is something I was actually asking our lead narrative designer Steve Denuser about recently, because I had this same question a couple of weeks ago. The answer is complicated. It's not like some science fiction movies where in a black hole or something time just moves faster. Yeah. But time is different in the Shadowlands. Time is a construct of order and structure, and things in the Shadowlands are more chaotic in a lot of ways. Think about how time moves in a dream to some extent, where there isn't necessarily a fixed amount of time and things can bounce around. So the souls that have been in the Shadowlands, to them, it might feel like they've been here for a very, very long time as they've gone on their own personal journeys of discovery and evolution. But it's not necessarily a 3x faster, 10x faster. Time is different. And what does that mean for our characters? Well, that's something that we'll have to see as we come out the other end of this experience.
Okay. Me ha comentado que él mismo tuvo la misma pregunta hace unas semanas para el jefe de Lore y la respuesta es complicada. Dice que el tiempo en Shadowlands es mucho más caótico, que para las almas allí puede haber parecido mucho tiempo, pero no hay exactamente una una relación de 10 veces más rápido, es 5 veces más rápido. Y dice que la respuesta de qué pasará con nuestros personajes o qué significa, que lo veremos hacia el final de la expansión.
Vale, de acuerdo. Pues vamos con la siguiente. Hablamos de las facultades de las curias.
So moving towards the Covenants now. Many players are worried of seeing that Covenant's abilities for their classes. Some seem to be more oriented to PvE, some others to PvP, and they're afraid that choosing a Covenant only taking into account this and not choosing the one they really like. So how are you going to work around this?
That's the design challenge, ultimately. We feel like it's essential for the RPG core of the game, for choices to have consequences, choices to be tied into the mechanics of the game, for the journey that we take through this world to be one that helps shape what our strengths and weaknesses as characters will be. At the same time, we also clearly understand the realities of modern World of Warcraft, the community, players' expectations of their group mates, of their guild mates, of people on their arena and battleground teams. We want to make sure that no one feels like there's a wrong choice, like they've made a mistake. And so what we're looking to do over the course of alpha and beta to follow is to iterate on and balance the entire package of what a Covenant entails. Not just the active abilities, but also the soul binds that are going to reinforce them, specific legendaries that modify those Covenant abilities, and more, until we get to a point where there are strengths and weaknesses, but ideally there is never a guide that says, oh, if you're a rogue and you want a PvP, definitely don't pick this Covenant because they're terrible. And that may mean redesigning some abilities entirely. That's why we're trying to get the current set of active abilities out in players' hands as quickly as possible. This week, players will be able to use the Ardenweald and Maldraxxus Covenant abilities on certain days in Torghast, so they can start playing with them and giving us feedback before those zones are available to give us the maximum amount of time to get the system to a place where we can all be happy.
Okay. Dice que es uno de los retos que tienen de diseño, y es una de las fantasías de un RPG, que las selecciones tienen consecuencias. Pero dicen que todavía están iterando mucho, balanceando las habilidades, balanceando los legendarios, que esta semana se han activado algunas habilidades y con eso empezarán a ver cuáles son mejores o peores. Pero dice que nunca habrá una curia que sea la que sí o sí tienes que coger si eres cierta clase.
Vale. Bueno, eso es lo que queríamos oír, ¿verdad? Vale, pues pasamos a la siguiente y hablamos un poco sobre una reestructuración gráfica que hemos visto en la serie de clases de instructores.
So, we've seen a visual update of Class Trainers House in Stormwind and Orgrimmar. Do you have any plan for Class Trainers to make a return and be relevant again for the new player experience?
So, for the new player experience, Class Trainers are going to be sort of near the end of that experience. That's actually where the concept of specializations, choosing your specialization, is introduced. If you're going through Exile's Reach and coming out of that, spec isn't something that necessarily unlocks at a specific level. Doesn't matter if you spent more time in Exile's Reach or less. It's going to come at that moment. Go to your class trainer and learn about the different paths available to you as a mage or a druid or whatever. A change that we've made in Shadowlands is that players no longer start with a specific spec. I think that's a big part of us trying to get back to class identity, and class is the foundation for everything. You know, today, if you make a druid, I believe you're a balanced druid at level 1, and then at level 10 you earn the ability to have these different specializations. Today, in Shadowlands, you're just a druid with a mix of everything, a little bit of shapeshifting, a little bit of damage, a little bit of healing. Then you choose which path you want to take, and that choice happens at the class training. There are no current plans for sending you back to your class trainer later on at max level. I'm not sure that needing to go back just to learn skills every time you level is the right fit for the modern game. But we'd love to find a way to make them more relevant as part of that general theme of class identity.
Sí. Dice que hoy en día en Shadowlands la especialización no se elige al principio, se elige, lo ha dicho, al nivel 10, y que eso es algo para los que los instructores para lo que están hechos.
Van a servir, ¿no?
Exacto. Dice que no hay planes ahora mismo de hacerte volver cada vez que quieras aprender una habilidad a los instructores, pero que les gustaría mucho buscar otra manera de hacerlos relevantes.
Pues genial. Vale, pues pasamos a la siguiente, un poquito sobre el lore de Teldrassil y Lordaeron.
So players are wondering what happened with Lordaeron and Teldrassil after Battle of Azeroth. Are we going to see more about them in Shadowlands? Are the Night Elves and the Forsaken going to find a new home in the expansion?
So there are definitely big unresolved elements there. What has come of Bug City, and what is the future of the Night Elves? We're seeing a piece of that story for sure in and expressed through Tyrande, as she is still, for her, the war has not yet finished, right? Battle for Azeroth is still going on in Tyrande's mind. Her people have suffered an incredible injustice and tragedy, and she's out for vengeance, and justifiably so. And so, through her, we'll definitely see an expression of the Night Elves' pain and agony and yearning for something new. We may encounter many of those who fell in the Battle for Azeroth as we go into the Shadowlands. Now, actually resolving what is the new homeland of the Night Elves, if there is one, and so forth, isn't something that really is a good fit for the Shadowlands, because we're spending time in this land of death. But going forward, we know it's something that we need to move on with and resolve. And we have some thoughts, but you're not going to see those come to fruition just yet.
Okay, cool. Dice que ciertamente hay unos grandes misterios por resolver o grandes problemas por resolver. Dice que veremos algo de lo que pasa con los elfos de la noche a través de Tyrande, porque para ella la guerra no ha terminado todavía y ve el sufrimiento de su pueblo, pero que en esta expansión se van a centrar en Shadowlands y esas historias se van a dejar para el futuro.
Vale. Pues seguimos. Hablando un poco de las armaduras dinásticas que faltarían por desarrollar.
So, several heritage armor of the classic races are still not developed. Will we see them in Shadowlands? And if so, which one could we expect first?
I think Ian was having a technical issue.
Oh.
We should be right back.
Sorry.
Okay.
Back now.
Okay. Should I ask again?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we're talking about heritage armors. Some of the classic races, they don't have them yet, and the question was, will we see them in Shadowlands, and if so, which one could we expect first?
So yes, heritage armor is something that almost falls outside of any given expansion story. We've largely done them or many of them have fallen in top 5 patches. It's something we want to continue doing until all of the classic races have heritage armors to earn. So I think players can look at the list of remaining races and make some guesses as to what lies ahead. We want to continue doing that over the course of Shadowlands patches, for sure.
Okay. Dice que sí, que desde luego eso son cosas que salen más en parches y no tienen tanto que ver con la historia de la expansión, pero que sí, que basta con ver la lista de las clases que todavía no tienen y básicamente apostar a cuál va a ser la siguiente.
Vale, perfecto. Pues pasamos a la siguiente y hablamos sobre un sistema de aventuras que comentó en la primera entrevista que tuvo.
So in a previous interview, you talked about an adventure system that is going to be for the mission table in Shadowlands. Could you share more about this system?
Not too much more right now, unfortunately. We should have it. We're hoping to have it on alpha in maybe a month. The general goal with the evolution of the mission system is, frankly, to add some depth to it. I think we've been using variations of the same matching counter system, where your goal is just to get to 100%, and it's a problem that's very easily solved by add-ons, and just has some RNG in it, as opposed to you feeling like you're getting the bonus reward as a reflection of a smart choice you made. It's just it's a bit of luck and simple matching. So we're looking to shift to something that better captures the fantasy of what combat means in WoW, which isn't just a coin flip and determining win or loss, but rather an encounter between a party of champions and a group of enemies playing out in some simplified mechanical terms. So we'll have a lot more to talk about as that hits alpha, probably next month. but we're excited about the evolution of the system to try to add more depth to it.
Ok. Dice que no nos puede contar mucho de esto, pero que en alrededor de un mes en la alfa va a estar esta actualización, que va a añadir más profundidad y digamos que quieren mover la fantasía de este sistema a algo que sea menos aleatorio y que sea más... Bueno, sí, menos aleatorio.
Vale, pues estaremos atentos entonces. Vale, pues pasamos a la siguiente, un poquito sobre la fabricación de las profesiones y los legendarios.
So we have now a couple of questions about legendary items. We have seen that crafting professions can make legendary items in the alpha. How are professions going to work when crafting legendary items in Shadowlands?
So the current plan with professions is that the only special items can be turned into legendary. You can't just take a pair of gloves that you get from a dungeon or from a raid boss and bring them to the runesmith and make them a legendary. They need to be items that are made of special material that's found within the Shadowlands that has this latent power to enable that legendary potential to be activated. So what that means is you're going to need items crafted by tailors, blacksmiths, leatherworkers. Because legendaries are unique. One, we don't have to worry about some problems in the past of letting crafters make the most powerful items where you can just go to the auction house and buy a full set of gear. But we're really excited about the chance to give the item crafting professions really sustained purpose and importance throughout the entire Shadowlands endgame in a way that frankly hasn't been the case since Classic or Burning Crusade.
Dice que cuando se hacen los objetos legendarios tendrás que tener un objeto base, que sea un objeto especial, hecho con materiales especiales, que tendrá como un poder latente, que es el que tú activas cuando lo conviertes en legendario. Dice que se necesitarán objetos de los herreros y de otras profesiones y que quieren que estas profesiones pues tengan ese protagonismo en este caso.
Qué bien, eso es una gran noticia para muchos. Pues vale, pues pasamos a la siguiente. Seguimos con los legendarios.
So we know that legendary items will be an important part of Shadowlands, and we know that the expansion will be also Outer friendly. What are your plans for Outers to be able to get also legendary items? Do you have any catch-up mechanic?
I mean, over the course of the expansion, it's likely we'll have some sort of acceleration or catch-up, but I think the amount of control that players have in making these legendaries is the biggest difference from how the system played out in Legion. Where in Legion, you might need to play for months before you could get the legendaries that you felt were required for your character to play the way you wanted to play. Here, on an alt, on a fresh level 60, you can immediately start working on your legendary of choice. Obviously, you'll have to gear up and go through all those systems to be able to tackle the higher levels of Torghast in order to do that efficiently. But it should be a much more direct path. One thing we're looking at is, wherever possible, making the recipes that you earn account-wide in terms of access. So if there's a legendary that's like Prydas, let's say, where, hey, this affix, this power that you put on an item gives you a protective shield against damage, once you've earned that recipe on one character, the runesmith will have that recipe available on all of your characters, and you just need to get the materials to make it. That's likely not going to be the case for something like a spec-specific power that modifies your Pyroblast, because a Fire Mage power isn't going to be very useful on your road.
Yeah. Cool. Dice que esto va a ser bastante distinto a Legión. En Legión los legendarios necesitan meses para hacer uno. Aquí es más, cuando llegas a nivel 60 ya puedes empezar a trabajar en tu legendario, empezar a mejorarlo. Dice que están pensando que las recetas sean en toda la cuenta. O sea, que si lo consigues con uno, todos los personajes de tu cuenta tengan acceso a las recetas. Lo único que necesitarás son los materiales, y para eso ya tendrás que hacer runes de la torre.
De torre, vale. Perfecto. Vale, pues pasamos a la siguiente. Y seguimos con las profesiones en este caso.
So it looks like we can choose the specific statistics for our crafted items in Shadowlands, as well as add additional components. How is this going to work? Will this be extended to profession recipes from other expansions?
So definitely that's how Shadowlands crafting will work. In the long run, we want to introduce that system more broadly as players are leveling up, but that's not a top priority compared to making sure the Shadowlands professions are the way they should be. We might go back and revisit the others later. But yes, generally, crafters will have the ability to add optional components if you want to guarantee that an item has crit or haste on it. You can still craft without those components, and it'll have the random stats we used to today, but we want to give players more control than ever before in the types of items they make.
Ok. O sea, si lo he entendido bien, dice que esto es algo que van a intentar expandir, que no es una prioridad ahora mismo, pero que definitivamente es así como funciona en Shadowlands. Y lo último que ha dicho, no estoy muy seguro, pero dice que si no tienes ciertos materiales o componentes, los stats serán aleatorios, pero con ciertos componentes sí que podrás elegir.
Sí, tiene sentido que sea así. Perfecto, entonces, pues seguimos. Un poquito sobre, a ver si nos aclaran algo sobre el Ray Tracing.
So we've seen that Shadowlands will have support for ray traced shadows. What can we expect from this graphic improvement? Is it going to change the minimum hardware requirements?
So honestly, I'm probably not the right person to give the technical answer on the engineering side of this. I know that, philosophically, we always, really with every expansion, work with video card manufacturers, driver creators, and want to take advantage of the latest technology and push that forward for players who have brand new, powerful systems. That doesn't in and of itself raise the minimum requirements of the game. The minimum requirements creep up slowly over time, but we're always looking at maintaining a very accessible baseline. I think a hallmark of World of Warcraft from its earliest days that we want to continue is that the game should be playable and accessible on a very wide range of hardware. We have players around the world playing on all types of machines. There's integrated graphics on a laptop, all the way up through some powerful rig that you built for yourself.
Yeah.
And we want to let you enjoy the game the way that you see fit and that you want most.
Do you think we will be able to see a screenshot of this soon?
I think as soon as that technology is fully supported and available, I'm sure that there'll be all sorts of examples of it to share. But I think it's still a work in progress that we're seeing the beginnings of in the UI and some graphics options, but the full support isn't there yet. So once it's there, we'll have screenshots to show.
Okay. Bueno, comenta que siempre están intentando mejorar los gráficos e intentar incorporar nuevas tecnologías. En este caso, pues está hablando del ray tracing. Es todavía algo que están trabajando, que no está completamente terminado, pero que eso no va a subir los requisitos mínimos. Dicen que siempre van a intentar que la mayoría de ordenadores puedan jugar desde portátiles con tarjeta integrada hasta configuraciones superpotentes.
Vale, pues eso es importante para la comunidad, la verdad, saberlo.
Y dice que no tienen una captura todavía, pero que en cuanto tengan algo seguro que habrá un montón de material.
Vale, perfecto. Pues vamos con la siguiente, donde hablamos un poco de los tiers de clase, ¿vale?
Alright, so you're going to try to bring back class armor sets. Will their tier bonus make a return too? What can we expect from them?
So the set bonuses, I think, are the piece that we're still trying to figure out, frankly. I've already said in the past, and we're excited about later in Shadowlands, in one of our content updates, going back to 12 different class-themed sets as the rewards you get from the raid. Of course, at the outset, we're focused on Covenant armor, and that's what the looks will reflect when Shadowlands initially launches. Bonuses are one of the reasons that we pulled back doing class sets in the first place. I think there's a couple of things that have changed about the game since they were first introduced. Loot is far more widespread, but also raiding isn't the only source of endgame loot. And in a world where we want PvP, Mythic Plus, and raiding all be viable options to endgame power, set bonuses from raids seem to have the effect of making those pieces of gear head and shoulders above all the rest, but also limiting item diversity, just kind of guaranteeing that these 4 item slots are always occupied by set pieces, and even if you get a different breastplate for your Mythic Plus chest, you're never going to use that item. And that could feel frustrating and limiting. So we want there's something cool about that idea of assembling a set, getting a powerful bonus as you get more and more pieces, but we're still working through exactly how to best translate the mechanical side of it into the modern game.
Sí. Dice que es algo que siempre están intentando averiguar cómo hacer mejor. Dice que ahora mismo se van a centrar en las armaduras de Curias, al principio de Shadowlands, y que la problemática con los bonus de conjunto es que limitan la diversidad y que tener ahí ciertos objetos que siempre vas a tener que llevar, digamos que reduce otros objetos que puedes encontrar en una mazmorra mítica.
Claro.
También dice que sí, es algo chulo eso de encontrar tu conjunto y ir buscando piezas, pero que todavía están viendo a ver cómo pueden, digamos, encajar todo esto para que funcione en el juego actual.
Vale. Pues la siguiente pregunta habla un poquito sobre la itemización de PvP.
So next question is about PvP. Know that we will have a vendor for PvP gear. Will itemization be similar to Battle for Azeroth, or are you bringing back PvP only stats like resilience?
We are not planning on bringing back PvP stats, so itemization will be similar to BFA. Really, I mean, imagine a system similar to how it would be in BFA if every time you filled your bar for Conquest, instead of just getting a specific piece, you got a token that you could take to a vendor and pick from a long list of pieces depending on which upgrade you wanted most. That way, again, we're looking to take a lot of the systems that we've had in place and adapt them in a way that gives players more control over pursuing their rewards, shaping their characters. But we're looking to have gear be universally relevant to all types of the game and not one specialized gear set just for PvP versus a different specialized gear set for raiding, the way it was a long time ago.
Dice que no habrá estadísticas solo para PvP, que será más similar a Battle for Azeroth y que será más de una manera en la que estás haciendo una conquista, recibes un token y el token lo llevas al vendedor y de ahí puedes elegir una serie de piezas para comprar.
Vale. Pues la siguiente pregunta, hablamos un poco sobre los requisitos de transfiguración de los tiers de las curias.
So many players are asking if there will be some transmog requirements for Covenant's armor set. If we get one with one of our characters, will the rest be able to use those transmogs?
Current thinking is that in order to show off the cosmetics associated with Covenant, that character has to be a member of that Covenant. So you won't see a member of the Venthyr Covenant riding around on the Kyrian mount, showing off the halo that the Kyrians wear and so forth. That's just a core part of the fantasy of what that Covenant entails and being a member of that Covenant. Now, if you have multiple characters in the same Covenant, those cosmetic unlocks should be account-wide, like any transmog or mounts usually are.
Okay. Dice que hay que tener cuidado porque no va a permitir que un personaje de una curia lleve los cosméticos de otra curia. Pero dice que si tus dos personajes o tus varios personajes están en la misma, quieren hacer que todo lo que consigas con uno se pueda en toda la cuenta, todos los personajes de tu cuenta los puedan tener.
Vale.
Pero solo si son de la misma curia.
Claro, tiene sentido también. Vale, pues la siguiente pregunta, hablamos un poquito sobre el parche pre-expansión.
So it looks like with the release of Shadowlands at the end of the year, last content patch for BFA will last quite a lot. Do you plan to start the pre-expansion event a little earlier, making it a little longer?
We're still working on the pre-expansion event. Ultimately, that's mostly driven by getting our pre-patch out in the first place, and that pre-patch can only go out once all of Shadowlands is done. And so that's just the nature of the beast in terms of us managing the schedule. So we're obviously very painfully aware that each passing week since Visions of N'Zoth is one more week where players are looking forward to more things to do, looking forward to Shadowlands, and know that it's our obligation to get that new content to our players as quickly as we can. The one thing we're not going to sacrifice in that pursuit, though, is quality of the game. And so that's the balance we're trying to strike. But we are also continuing to look at BFA and what's going on in Visions of Zoth right now, and considering options that may give players some more goals to pursue and new rewards within the existing content to help stretch.
Ujú. Dice que eso va a ser, depende del progreso de Shadowlands. Que cuando tengan Shadowlands hecho, entonces empezarán a pensar y a trabajar en este parche y más o menos decidir cuándo, cómo y la longitud. Dice que siempre están mirando qué pasa en el juego actual, en Battle for Azeroth, y que siempre van a intentar hacer cosas, pero sin prisas y sin sacrificar la calidad del contenido.
Bueno, eso está bien, es coherente. Vale, pues vamos a pasar a la siguiente, que tratamos de nuevo un tema de PvP, en este caso sobre el modo guerra, el War Mode.
Mm-hmm. So about war mode, what are your plans for this war mode, and how are you going to compensate for possible number imbalances in Shadowlands?
Yeah, we've continued to learn a lot. War mode's continuing. We've learned a lot how it's played out over the course of BFA, which types of events are better for world PvP. I think actually faction assaults, the sets of world quests that we had back in 8.1 drove a ton of great organic world PvP. With Battle for Nazjatar in Rise of Ashara, we ran into a bit more faction imbalance issues that were kind of shown a spotlight on them, and that's something we're looking to continue to build upon going forward in Shadowlands. War mode continues. We will probably have some free-for-all or world quest areas or PvP areas similar to those that were in Legion, where faction isn't a concern. The idea of Covenant versus Covenant is a dynamic. It's something we could also play up. It's not. That's one of those things that's not a core part of the lore of the Shadowlands expansion. The Covenants aren't natural enemies who fight each other, but for the purposes of exciting PvP opportunities, there are probably some spaces where we could have challenges between the Covenants where you don't have to worry about faction balance as much, and we can just give people who are looking for exciting world PvP opportunities that chance.
Okay, sounds good. Dice que es algo en lo que siempre van a estar trabajando, que siempre están aprendiendo y viendo cómo se desarrolla. Y dice que ideas que están teniendo son como hacer zonas que sean de todos contra todos o áreas PvP, como creo que ha dicho que había en Legión. Y otra cosa que ha dicho es que están pensando, a lo mejor podría ser interesante hacer luchas o enfrentamientos de curias, que en cuanto a lore no tienen demasiado sentido porque las curias no son enemigas, pero que puede tener sentido para que los jugadores tengan algo divertido que hacer y tengan distintas formas de enfrentarse y eso.
Pues suena muy bien, la verdad, puede ser muy divertido esa modalidad de juego. Pues habrá que esperar a ver con qué nos sorprende. Bueno, avanzamos a la siguiente. Y bueno, preguntamos un poquito sobre el parche, bueno, si se ampliará un poquito, ¿no? El beneficio que tenemos de reputación. A ver qué nos dicen.
So, some of us are still locked at home and we desperately need to play more World of Warcraft. Is there any chance you're extending the reputation buff a bit more, as you did with the experience one?
So, the reputation buff, unlike experience buff, was something that was open-ended, where really you could never have too many alts, and we realized that it was the right thing to do just to keep that on throughout the rest of Battle for Azeroth. Reputation buff has allowed, I think, people who wanted to unlock allied races or earn flying the ability to do so and then some. We're looking at shifting to a different focus after this. We'll hopefully have some news on that in the coming days, where there's some new bonuses, also maybe permanent, that give you new goals and make it easier for your alts to get caught up in particular. And that's something we've heard a lot from people is, hey, I've leveled all of these characters to 120, but the idea of all the stuff I have to do to get my legendary cloak up to the right level, or how do I get the corruptions that I want? Those are questions that deter, meaningful play on those alts. And we'd love to make that easier for everybody who has this stable of 120s that they just want to play more, but feel like they can't right.
Ha comentado que, ha dicho muchas cosas en este. Dice que le van a dar un enfoque distinto y que igual en los próximos días sabremos algo más, probablemente. Que van a
cambiar.
experimentar con distintos bonus que hagan que tener otro personaje sea más fácil.
Vale, bueno, pues habrá que estar atento a ver con qué nos sorprenden esta vez. Vale, pues siguiente pregunta. Un poco más sobre los legendarios y la capacidad de hacerlo en la rapidez.
So going back to legendary items, you mentioned that a few weeks might be enough to get a legendary item, but will this be faster as you progress in the tower? Or how does that link with the progress in your tower?
That's something that's a specific tuning question that we still need to work through in the long term. Honestly, off the top of my head, I don't know that it necessarily needs to be something that gets faster, since you only can wear one legendary at a time. What you're earning with your later legendaries is additional option. If you think back to how legendaries worked in Legion, they didn't necessarily get faster and faster to earn over time. You just got a broader variety of tools that you could use for specific encounters. But once you had a couple of good legendaries, particularly by the end of the expansion, with the Awakening Essence system that allowed players to choose the specific legendaries of their choice, all you needed was a couple to be competitive, and then everything after that was just a bonus.
Okay. Dice que es algo que están ajustando ahora, que no será más rápido, ya que como solo puedes llevar un legendario, obtener más legendarios, digamos que no es el objetivo es añadir más opciones a ese legendario. Y ha dicho que será algo similar como pasaba en Legión. Eso ya no sé cómo es.
Vale, perfecto. Pues pasamos a la siguiente entonces. Sobre las cinemáticas CGI.
So next question, we could enjoy CGI story cinematics until patch 8.2.5. Can we expect this to be the case for Shadowlands, or are you going to change that?
So I think at this point, we're very fortunate to have a range of storytelling options when it comes to different types of videos or cinematics. Everything from the more hand-painted look of the Warbringers pieces that we had leading up to Battle for Azeroth, to our in-game cinematics and game cutscenes, to the full pre-rendered, almost movie quality ones like you saw with Sylvanas and Volvar. And we use each of those where it makes sense for the story we're trying to tell. I think in BFA, we had a very specific character-focused arc around Saurfang and Anduin and their evolution that almost felt like a continuation in a very direct way of the Siege of Lordaeron and Old Soldier before the battle. And so we wanted to finish that story out in that form. We will continue to use all of those specific media, but I don't want to spoil anything particular that's coming, except to say that I think you can expect all of those types of videos coming in support of the broader Shadowlands story that we're going to be telling.
Okay, sounds great. Dice que lo chulo de esto es que tienen un montón de opciones para contar historias. Desde las como dibujos hechos a mano, cinemáticas in-game o las CGI completas con calidad de película. Y dice que usan cada una de ellas cuando tiene sentido con la historia que están contando. Pero dice que sin destriparnos qué es lo que va a pasar, dice que podemos esperar todos estos tipos de formas de contar la historia en el futuro.
Perfecto, genial. Pues esperándola estamos. Vale, pues vamos a la siguiente, un poquito sobre los líderes de facciones.
So far, data mining has not shown the main leaders of each faction, and we haven't seen them in the alpha yet. We know that Durande is there, but will the other ones be joining us in the Shadowlands too?
In various forms. I think there are many important characters in the world of Azeroth at this point, and just as some of its greatest champions, are going into the Shadowlands, you would imagine that they too are going to try to fight to save their world and their people. But that will lead them to different fates. And there isn't a whole lot more that I'm ready to say right now that wouldn't be spoilers. And so we're excited for everybody to see together how that story unfolds and what comes of some of the major characters that you've yet to see in the alpha.
Sí. Dice que, que no nos va a contar nada de la historia, pero que de alguna forma o de otra lo veremos, porque puedes esperar que si estamos yendo a Shadowlands para salvarlo, que los líderes también querrán participar. Y eso pues los llevará por distintos caminos, pero no nos va a contar.
Perfecto,
más.
eso es lo que queríamos saber. Vale, pues la siguiente, a ver si nos de casualidad nos desvelan si vemos a alguien más importante de los que ya están muertos.
So this is a little related with the other one. We know that we are going to see again some dead characters like Uther, Draka, Bash, Kalthas, and Scenarios. Is there any other name you can share with us? Maybe Arthas?
I mean, he's somewhere in there, right? I think, frankly, we want to be very careful with that particular character's legacy. I think we're certainly going to be learning more about the power that shaped the Lich King, the power that shaped the Helm, the power that made Frostmourne, and how that is all interconnected with the Realm of Death, with the Jailer's plans that have been brewing for a long time. But we also want to be respectful of one of the great characters of, throughout the entire history of Warcraft lore. And so I don't think it's likely, and I wouldn't expect that we're going to be running around with Arthas and doing a whole bunch of direct Arthas interactions. But will we learn more about him and his true nature? Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Dice que, bueno, que Arthas está ahí en algún momento, en algún lugar. Pero que tienen que tener mucho cuidado con Arthas porque es un personaje súper importante. Que quizá no vamos a andar dando vueltas con Arthas e interactuando mucho, pero que sí que vamos seguro a aprender más sobre qué significa los poderes del Lich King, cómo se relacionan con los Shadowlands y cuáles son los planes del carcelero.
Perfecto. Vale, pues vamos por la penúltima de las que tenemos aquí, sobre Oribos.
Alright, so this one is about Oribos. We haven't seen Oribos yet, but we know that it will be the main capital city. We also know that Covenant's headquarters will have other features for players like soul bins or anima channeling devices. So the question is, are we going to have something like this in Oribos too? Or what other facilities will we find there to make this the main capital city? Maybe the auction house or some portals?
Yes, so Oribos should actually be available on the alpha within the next week, so players will be able to visit it, check it out. Everything isn't hooked up there, but it'll be the beginnings of a functional hub. If you think back to Legion, there are a lot of parallels between the Wake Dalaran and class order halls interrelated. So things like your soulbinds and anima channeling devices that you're using to upgrade your Covenant, those are going to be in your Covenant Sanctum. But Oribos is where other major services will be. Oribos is the nexus that has the interconnected flight paths to each of the 4 zones, as well as the place where you'll find portals back to Orgrimmar, Stormwind, places like that.
Ah, sí. Dice que, bueno, Oribos lo vamos a ver en la alfa la próxima semana, que ahí tendrás la oportunidad de explorar un pequeño lugar donde habrá algunas de estas cosas. Dice que puedes pensar que será algo como en Legión era Dalaran o como las salas de las clases de Class Order.
Las sedes de clase,
sí, las sedes de clase. Que las curias tendrán cosas para mejorar la curia, pero en Oribos desde luego encontrarás cosas como lo de volar y portales para volver a Azeroth.
Vale, perfecto. Pues...
Y que bueno, la semana que viene es cuando estará un poco de esto para ver en la alfa.
Pues se agradece. Pues vamos con la 26 y hablamos un poquito más sobre Torghast. Volvemos a Torghast.
Alright, so this is our last question actually. Torghast is amazing and we haven't seen all zones yet. We have seen that there is a loading screen between levels that it kind of breaks the experience and immersion of ascending through this tower. Is that something final, or are you gonna find another way to change floors and load levels?
That's an unfortunate technical limitation, particularly on just given the dynamic nature of Torghast. The levels need to be generated and also loaded on people's clients, and people have different internet connections, hard drives, all the rest.
Yeah.
And so that's why loading screens exist at a fundamental level. We agree, and they are a bit immersion break. We may want to explore using some kind of different visual effect instead of just a loading screen with a blue bar to cover up those transitions.
Yeah.
As much as we wish it could just be an instant transition where you go through the portal, you climb the stairs, and you're on the next level instantly, the realities of technology and getting the information loaded into computers' memories just aren't quite that way yet, but maybe one day.
Ok. Dice que esto es una limitación técnica, que los niveles se generan aleatoriamente y tienen que tener en cuenta que no todo el mundo tiene un ordenador potente o las conexiones a internet son de muchas maneras muy distintas y que están de acuerdo en que rompe la inmersión y que ir de un nivel a otro y tener una pantalla de carga no es la forma más adecuada, pero que ahora mismo es la única manera. Pero están mirando a lo mejor de hacer otro tipo de efecto visual que no sea pues una pantalla plana de carga, sino otro tipo de efecto que haga esa transición más suave.
Vale, pues si te parece, como era la última que teníamos prevista, te digo algunas y se las haces.
Sí.
Por ejemplo, hay una pregunta que me surge que es, a nivel de lore, si vamos a estar, una vez que viajemos a Shadowlands, si estamos allí durante todo el tiempo o vamos a poder viajar entre Shadowlands y Azeroth libremente, a nivel de lore.
So just a question came up, since we have a couple more minutes, if that's okay.
Sure.
We were wondering if, lore related, is it possible to travel from Shadowlands back to the mainland?
Yes. We're not stuck in the Shadowlands. The reality is we're not, even gameplay-wise, even if we wanted to tell that story, at some point, gameplay needs to override even those lore concerns. So we would never set up a world where players can't revisit the old world to do Transmogrification, than to play with their friends and do all the content there. Initially, as players venture into the Shadowlands, you will fight your way out of the mall, find an escape that was thought to be impossible. And as you establish an initial, foundation in Oribos, at that point you'll be able to forge a connection back to Azeroth, back to Orgrimmar or Storm, capital city, that will let you move back and forth. It also lets us bring a few other characters from the world of living, from Azeroth, into the Shadowlands to work with us and aid us. A notable example will be Bolvar, right? Bolvar, the fallen Lich King, who has unique insight into the power of death and this bridge between the two worlds, will in many ways be someone who helps us with guidance and valuable information in our quest.
Cool. Esta pregunta le ha gustado. Ha dicho que en cuanto a gameplay siempre va a tener que haber una forma, pero que no solo eso, sino que jugando en Shadowlands, poco a poco se encontrará como una ruta secreta para volver atrás. Después de entrar en Oribos y jugar un poquito en Shadowlands. Y dice que eso además les permite traer a otros personajes de Azeroth que vayan a Shadowlands, como he mencionado a Bolvar. No sé si está bien.
Sí.
Que dice que actuará como guía y también proporcionará información.
Vale, pues eso era una pregunta que tenías, cuándo íbamos a ver a Bolvar, pero supongo que no lo veremos ya hasta empezado Shadowlands. Pregúntale si veremos a Bolvar en el parche pre-expansión o ya una vez que estemos en Shadowlands, porque lo echamos de menos desde la cinemática.
So they're asking that they're missing Bolvar, and I just mentioned it. Is there any chance we're going to see more about him pre-expansion?
I would say chances are high.
Chances are high. Okay.
Yeah, yes, he's the one who was there when this portal into the Shadowlands was open. I can confirm he did not die. Sylvanas did not kill him in that confrontation. After the helm was shattered, she left him broken, battered, on the edge of death, but still alive. And he's going to be a valuable source of information to the whole world regarding what happened, and will be key in pre-patch events and our initial kind of planning of our counterattack against the armies of the jailer, against the forces of death.
Alright. Dice que sí, que seguro que vemos más, que al fin y al cabo él estaba allí cuando se abrió el portal, que puede confirmar que no está muerto y que va a ser una pieza clave en los patches pre-expansión y en el contraataque al ejército del carcelero.
Perfecto. Pues hay otra pregunta y es sobre las bandas. En las últimas expansiones, en las alfa y en las betas, hemos visto al menos 2 bandas que las hemos conocido. En este caso solamente conocemos una banda, que es el castillo de Nazria en Revendreth. La pregunta iría sobre si significa que se demorará más en el tiempo en la segunda banda, o si nos puede contar un poco más sobre
¿Cómo es
dónde
banda?
estará, si estará en las fauces.
¿Cómo se dice banda?
Right.
Right. Okay, let's see if I understood the question. So they're asking about there has been 2 raids, and we know only about one of them. When are we gonna know about the other one?
I'm not sure I'm understanding. Castle Nathria is the raid that will be available when Shadowlands launches. Of course, we have other raids planned for later patches, but just as Uldir was there as the first raid at the start of Battle for Azeroth, here we have Castle Nathria in Revendreth.
Dice que es el castillo de Nadria, la
primera,
banda que va a
sí.
estar. Sí, no ha dicho nada de otra.
Vale, bueno, pues estaremos pendientes. Bueno, pues por mi parte, muchísimas gracias a todos. Es la última pregunta. Gracias a todos los que habéis estado viendo. Y thank you so much, Ion, for the interview and this opportunity. Thank you.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you for the great questions, and I hope to talk to you again in the future.